Okay, so we're going to record, this little movie is about exercise 14 of the Colas Rail training course, which is how to make a comprehensive plan in 20 minutes. So here goes. So you've got Tylos 9, you've started it, you say File New, and from the list you find the Colas Rail Tylos 9 template version, or there might be a later one if there have been amendments. And so if you haven't got that, ask me or ask Amir and we'll get it to you, and you say okay. It takes a copy of that template and presents it on screen. So at this point we fill in what's the name of the project. I'm going to copy and paste things to make things quicker, which maybe is cheating, but we're going to fill in essentially the distance footprint of the job and the time footprint of the job. So we're doing this in meters, remember, at your request. So we're doing this at 100, so it's 119 kilometers in and 120, 800, and this relates to the actual mileage of the job. So we're going to do this on the 2nd of June 2017 at 11 at night, and we're going on to the 4th of June, and we can click on the little down arrow and we can choose it through the date picker, and we have to be out of there very, very latest at 4:30, but we're going to aim for 3:45 later. So we have to set that up, and then we click on apply, and then we're going to save the file itself. So remember where you're going to save it to in your folder structure. I recommend you put it on the server so that you can, so it gets backed up. So then on screen you've got the familiar looking project, and the first thing we want to do is we'll put those two green drop lines down which are related to the extent of the work site itself. The distance values we just put in, which populate the distance on the cell settings, is about 800 meters either side of the work area itself. So for the work area we expand the project data, distance axis definitions, distance profiles, and we double click on the one called worksite extents, and then in the distance one here we actually type in the starting point of the work site itself, which is in this particular case 119 650. So that's 650 meters shy of the start, and 120 800, so that's 800 on the other side. So when we say okay, 119 650 and 120, I can't read my own instructions, 190. So we'll get those two green lines down the screen. That's so we've got space on either side to see the movement of trains coming in and out, key milestones, notes on either side, etc. So so now we want to populate the text area. So instead of worksite, we want it to say the name of the job. Down the bottom here we want it to say fill out these bits of text correctly, and the place to do that is through tools options. Such a commonly accessed area, there is a toolbar, but a main toolbar button directly for it, and we're going to put in these sections. So what's the worksite name? Well, it's the same as in my case as the name of the project itself. What's the engineering line number, and maybe these aren't exactly the right bits of text you want to show, but tell me or Amir, and we can make that particular change, for example. So you might have a specification number you want to refer to. This is for our own internal purposes. 8th of June 16 is when we first made it, prepared by me. So so when we say okay, it's changed this bit of text on the bottom, and if we go to the top, you know, you've got the top. Now at this point we're going to populate this area here with a sort of illustrative colored sections to show the troops what the type of work we're doing, and we're going to put a map. So if you don't have that information, you could skip straight to drawing the task group, but we're going to work through those two sections to remind you. So I've already collected some information on this job, and I know that the excavation, and I was saying 250 only, and so I'm going to do this by copying and pasting, which is slightly quicker than typing it for one, but a lot quicker later on when we've got more than one. And the home for these are, again, in the project data, distance axis definitions, but not the distance profile, the sector profile. And if we double click on excavation spoil, at this point, we can click on the plus sign. Sorry, we don't click on the plus sign, we click on import, export, and from this dialog, we set the items we wish to import, which are these four things, and we say the column on the clipboard. So the name's in column 1, the start distance is in 2, the end distance is in 3, and the type is in 4. So then if we click on import and OK, we get that colored section. So we need to do that for each of our items here. So we're doing that for ballast. Double click on that, import, export, deselect everything. These four items, that's a 2, that's a 1, and that's a 4. So again, we're going to do that for re-railing, and we're going to do it in a minute for re-sleepering. So we're going to import and export. Unfortunately, it doesn't remember these settings, so you have to set them each time, but you're only doing this occasionally. And then finally, which is really where the payoff comes with this copy and paste method, is that we've got that for sleepers. Double click on sleepers, and again the same thing. So that's in column 2, that's 1, that's 4, and we're going to import that so we get all 3. So it's a much quicker thing. And so that's one of our spreadsheets. We've got another spreadsheet which we talked about at some length on the training course, and so this is where the various symbols are for the map. And the first tab of this has got every possible symbol that's included in the in this template. So if we've got an underbridge at a certain place, we copy that row, we put it in a new spreadsheet, and we just fill in the yellow bit. So we've got an underbridge at Miles Road, and it's at this meterage. So once we've created that for the whole map, we copy that to the clipboard, we go back to Tylos, we right mouse click in this area, we import these symbols from the clipboard, we get it looking like this. And this does remember what you did last time, and it is in the book, and so then it draws a map of what you have. And I say we recommend that you save at regular intervals. So if we've got that information, we can do that. If not, you can jump straight to this stage here where we're now going to create loads of activities in one operation, and we're going to do that by using a task group, not individual tasks. So we're going to click on this toolbar button, and before I do that, I just remembered a bit about layers. So in this section here, I can still click on this, and maybe if other people are going to handle this later on, we want to make sure they don't mess up the map. And so on the layers tab, if we look down, there's a little scrollable list down here. We're going to leave visible, but stop editable, the layer called track over and under. So we're still making them visible, but we're not letting them be selected. So here we can't select them anymore. In the same way, on the main time distance cell, if I click on that, we're going to take the text annotation, and we're not going to make it invisible, we're going to make it non-editable, which is going to make it easier for our editing of the activities. But later on, when we adjust the text, we've got to go back here and turn it on again. So now we're in a position to create a new task group. So there we're going to draw a box roughly about where we want it to start between the green lines. So I want it to start in midnight between the green lines, and I need to choose from my list which standard work type grouping that we're going to do, or at least the nearest one to it. And the nearest one to it in this case is a Cat 11 third rail, 27 hours. Our method is coordinate. We double check we've got the right start and end, which is the green lines, and that we've got the right date and the right time. And then we say OK, and we've created all of those activities in one operation. And before we click on reschedule, there's a couple of things that we must do, and that is to anchor the very last activity, in this particular case return worksite, and we do that by selecting it, going to links and constraints tab, setting a constraint or finish on or after, and setting the time of that finish to be 3:15. So that can't finish any time before 3:15, which anchors the return possession, which is only 3/4 of an hour. So then we're going to take the DWWP, and we're going to say it's already got a deadline set, and this is a special buffer task, if you remember from our discussion, and this is going to be on the 4th of June 17 at 03:45. So that's what we're going to set that to, and now we can reschedule that, and we can see what the impact that is. And I did forget to do the other thing, which is to set the minimal duration on the buffer to be over only 30 minutes, because otherwise you get that error message on a reschedule. But that's just warning you. So were this to, at the moment it's set to 125 minutes, if it would go to below 30 minutes, then you will get a warning after you reschedule, and at the moment you don't get a warning when you reschedule. So we've set those basic aspects of this whole job, and so we need to think about now that there are, of course, specifics about this job. So we're going to scroll to the top, and we've got to think about the specifics of this job, and we're going to choose the cut into burner activity, and because that's got the same layer, in this case line of work, as the load panels train symbol, the train symbol is drawn last, so it's on top of the red line. So we want the red line to come to the front, so we choose it, select that and click on this object here. It doesn't always happen, and that's just a redraw problem. If we choose another view, for example the task list, and then go back to our standard view, you will see that change. So it's a slightly annoying little glitch that the team don't be able to seem to get to the bottom of. So, but we're going to take our cut into panels activity, and we're going to the team have decided that we can do this quicker than the norm being standard rates in the library. They can be changed if you don't agree with these norms. So remember that the DWWP buffer was 125 minutes. If we reschedule the change of our cut into panels, it means that that's gone down to 104 minutes, quite within our acceptable range. So if we choose to load panels, and in the same way we've reassessed how long we can go do that faster at 280. So again, if we view the DWWP before rescheduling, that's gone up to 107, gained a little bit of time on that in that particular case. And on the excavate and doze, we have looked at our ballast calculator, and for the whole and this has been going to be done in 2 lumps, 2 sections by a train with this particular makeup, and we're going to we've looked at our ballast calculator, and we can do 3.1 tons per yard. So it's slightly deeper than the normal excavation. So in this way, it's going to take us a bit longer in time to do it. So we've changed that to both of those 2 different trains, because we can't get it all that spoiled in one train, and then our DWWP's dropped down to 86 minutes at that point. So now we've got to start thinking about another train coming in with ballast, and then it's going to provide that ballast for the lay bottom ballast operation. So at this stage, we're now going to individual tasks. So we're going back to task templates. We're going to choose this as create a new task. We're going to base it on one we've got before called stationary train. I'm going to draw a new task round about here. I'm going to change the color of that task so that we can identify it as being a separate train. I'm going to call it train 4.1. That's train 4 in position 1. And I know that we're going to need that there for 116 minutes, and the length of that train is 272 meters. So I know that information, and that needs to be there when the bottom ballast is happening. So we're going to make a link from the beginning of bottom ballast to the beginning of train 4.1. So I missed creating that because it was too near to that activity there. So again, it's depending exactly where you position it. And there we can see the link tab at the bottom. It's from lay bottom ballast to train 4.1. It's a start with no link. So if we reschedule that, then it's going to move to exactly the right position. Then we're going to move the train to its second position so it can lay the second lot of ballast. So we're going to select it, right mouse click on it, choose a task creation, copy task option, keep the locations the same, and just move it down to about 2 o'clock so that we can actually see it on screen and easily draw a logic link to it. But now, of course, this is train 4.2, so it's in a new position, and we're going to draw a logic link from the end of train 4.1 to the start of train 4.2. That'll move it in time, but we're also going to move it in distance. So it's going to move to the start of 4.2 is going to move in distance to the end of 4.1. So we could obviously say it's going to take 5 minutes to move from one to the other, but in this case it's probably not relevant. And that's all the trains that we're going to do, but you need to do more. So you've got, you know, sleepers, you've got you're delivering sleepers, so we probably need to move that down so that it's no longer that train 4.1 is not stopping it, and plot the movement of the sleeper train, but that's outside the extent of our training course at the moment. And then we're going to choose TAMP first pass, and again we've been told that that we can, that's slower than normal. We can do 2:10 on that. So if we reschedule that, it's still 86 minutes. Our second pass is a bit quicker than normal. So 3:40 reschedule has no effect on the DWP. Manually profile, we can go a bit quicker at 2:20. Reschedule, that will have an effect on the DWP. And you can see that because you can see exactly where things are. So so that's all that we're going to do on the timing. That 102 minutes buffer is a very acceptable one. We could maybe think about doing a bit more work, bit of extra if we had the capacity. And we're just going to do two things now. We're going to display the resources. So in this section here, we're going to right mouse click, generate resource list, click on OK, and make that wider by dragging out this tooth. If we don't want all of those lines, we can click on it, and on the third tab, this is where we get a scrollable list of all the resources there. If we don't want the rail burner and we don't want the team leader and the trackman, we can get rid of those. So it's often useful to focus that on a useful list of resources. Now we want to just amend the text on the body of the diagram to make it all totally legible. So on the layers tab, we're going to make the text editable again by making that selectable. You know, we might want to just, you know, tighten the spacing of that up, and this is looking a bit tight down here, and maybe we want to put the train number more visible in the top right hand corner. So there's always a little bit of text editing goes on just to make the whole thing, you know, a bit more legible, and at the end of that you might want to make that text annotation non-selectable so people don't accidentally move it from its good position. So before we print it out, which is what we're going to do, we could simplify what we're looking at. So we could, on the layers tab, we could scroll down so we see the key milestones, then we can turn it off so it's not visible on the screen, nor is it visible on the output, but our DWP is on that layer, so that's disappeared. So if we bring that back, and on this single task, if we change the layer to say line of work, and then go back to our layers tab and again turn the key milestones off, so maybe it's the client who wants to see the key milestones. So we've got it showing the activities we want. It'd be a lot simpler if we could get rid of the links. We don't have to delete them, we can just turn them off. So the display tab has got a tick box for the links. Unfortunately, they don't all work. Just a redraw issue. Again, we need to double click on another view and come back to the one we started from, and then they'll all be gone. So we're in a position to print that out. I always save at crucial moments, and the printout is a single button on screen. So you click on that single button, you choose the printer of your choice, and I would recommend it's got A3 paper. We choose A3 as a page size. We make sure it's portrait and that we're printing to a single page. And then we click on print, which I'm not going to do, and it will come out on your printer. And so there you go. That's how you make a whole scheme. And we might have had to do a few more train movements for install sleepers, for example, and maybe top ballast, some more top ballast before we did that, but you would get the drift. It would be quick to do that, and you'd see the impact on the DWP. It's not the activities, it's the train movements and the impact that that has on the next activity, because we can't do the install sleepers there, because if we bring a train in at this position, train 4.1 is still there. So we've got to, that task has got to move down to at least there before it can be serviced by the train. And maybe because of 4.2, it's got to go down to there, and that would have quite an impact on the end date. So it's the position of the trains and not the activities, and that's why time distance diagrams are so much better than Gantt charts. So any questions, give me a call, or Dave Sutton or Amir.